All right.
All right.
It looks like we're live. I apologize. I'm a little bit late because I got a haircut. So
Wow.
now I did want to use this
I
as
got
a
that one cut,
yeah,
and
fair
that
enough.
I track them each one.
The two haircuts.
Yeah.
I say this because I feel like there's a thing in our industry when how do I say this a nice way? You know when your coworkers are looking perhaps a bit disheveled, perhaps maybe worse for wear. My understanding is, at least of myself and maybe some other devs that I know, is that when you're not paying attention too much to like haircuts and beard trimmings and things like this, chances are you're probably working and you're just like reprioritizing the things that are important to you. And physical
Right.
appearance is pretty low on the list. That's how I feel. So like the last, I want to say month, I've just been like coding and it feels like
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting stuck in my own old ways, like not wearing the same shirt 2 days in a row, but just like the
Yeah.
the hygiene kind of suffers
Yeah.
a little bit. It's like one of the first things to go downhill. But I've been mainlining open code and Claude code
Oh,
like
yeah.
like I'm addicted to it or something like that. Is
Hmm.
listen, I'm not even creating a good app or anything like that, but I'm learning more about the things that I'm playing around with. I think
Right.
is what's actually helping. And Open Router is just blowing my mind. Is one of the
Really.
few things, for example, that I'm really liking. Yeah, I don't know how much you've played around with Cloud Code, but I'm on the plan with the limits in it, and it's
Okay.
actually quite annoying. It's very user unfriendly. The
Right.
problem is, of course, that it's actually a pretty good coding agent.
Mm.
I'm using agent here with scare quotes, but
Yeah.
as something to actually help with coding, I feel like it's quite good. But unfortunately, I hit the limit all the time, and I used to take a
Oh.
walk and stuff like that. But now they're more strict about the limits, and it's just getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like pair this with the fact that if I were to do a session through Open Router to use Sonnet 4, so the one that
Mm-hmm.
Anthropic hosts, I might pay for 5 hours like $20 maybe, and I don't need it often. But I can
Mm-hmm.
actually I can straight up use that model
Right.
through Open Router pointing to Anthropic. The other thing I can do is use things like Gemini 2.5 Pro from GitHub. So GitHub will host it. It's not free, but it's available via GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
On top of which, you could actually use ChatGPT's models. So you do need to go through verification, which I still haven't done. I'm really not a fan of. You have to like
Mm.
scan a QR code and prove that your organization
Mm.
is real, that I'm a real person. It's like,
Right.
maybe I don't want to do that. But the combination of these three means
Okay.
that I can continue kind of playing around with things without losing too much context. I do most of my stuff in like a to do or
Yeah.
agents.md or claude.md or what have you. But yeah, this is where I'm at. So I feel like yes,
Wow.
the personal appearance is suffering, but also I feel like I'm quite
Mm.
productive. I'm trying a lot of new things. And one of the things that I've been playing around with and maybe trying to port over to open code if I can is something called Super Claude. Have you heard of this before?
No.
Okay. I've mixed feelings because Super Claude bundles an MCP server that I'm not fond of, that a lot of other people are, and that's
Mm-hmm.
Context 7, just because I feel like
Okay. Yeah.
Context 7 doesn't do anything.
Right.
And I know people say it does, but I'm positive it doesn't. Because
Yeah.
I've asked it questions about stuff that should be in the docs that just don't work.
Yeah.
Um, but it bundles a bunch of different agent definitions, for example, so the tab interface on both OpenCode and Cloud Code, and I think Gemini as well. You can swap between the agents, maybe Codex as well if you have to try Codex. But it bundles, I think, 27 of those, and I want to
Mm.
say that like I would never use these agents at all.
Mm-hmm.
But funnily enough, when I'm going through just examples or just trying some things out with larger repositories, the agents will actually be pulled up by Claude Code when trying to do something. So, for example, if it's going through a security portion of the code,
Mm-hmm.
I've asked it to maybe check the package security, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Find the dependencies and make sure that they're all secure.
Make sure the
Some
API keys are hard coded in there.
Oh man, listen, we'll get to that in a moment. But right, like, please add this to the security definition. I did end up with some problem there again that I can describe in a fair amount of detail. But it will actually call up the agents when doing some of these tasks, which I find really interesting because the task definitions are in there, and then it's almost like it does a search and then finds the agent and then will use it. But it will take a different tact. And I say it here, we're personifying a
Mm-hmm.
little bit Claude Code, please bear with me. But the agent, when predicting the next steps, will use this
Right.
agent itself to call it. On top of which it can call like multiple. So if you tell it use deep thinking or ultra think or one of these other
Mm-hmm.
keywords, you could spin off like 10, 12, I think
Mm.
I was up to 14 at one point in time, sub agents doing different
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, herein lies the rub, of course, with all these tool calls. I think you told me early days, tool calls are expensive. I think is one of the things you warned me about early.
Right.
And expense can be, it could be slowness, it could be
Right.
cost, it could be the amount of tokens that you're calling, or all of the above. And all of the above is exactly what happens to me when I'm using open code with Anthropic, that it doesn't seem to happen, though it doesn't seem to happen when I'm using Cloud Code, which I find interesting. But yes, I think one of the calls that I did using sequential thinking, for example, I think cost me $5, which is
Mm.
extremely expensive
For
for those.
one
Yeah,
thing.
for those
Yeah.
of you listening, for one call, like it's very, very expensive. I
Yeah.
do think it lasted about 30 minutes, so it was like one call that spidered
Hmm.
on and created a whole bunch. And all I asked was, think deeply about your assumptions that you had when giving me
Hmm.
the answer to the last one, which said, like, it was full of glazing. Your project's amazing. Everything's
Hmm.
production ready. Feel free to push to prod. Like, you're good to go. Like,
Right.
there's no way this project is a complete mess. There's no way this is ready for prod. So I did. I asked the agent. The prompt was something like, think deeply. What assumptions have you missed, or what edge cases have you
Hmm.
not explored? And it took a really long time,
Hmm.
and found numerous bugs, because of course
Yeah.
it did. And yeah, it cost me $5, which I thought
Mm.
was fantastic. So I just told it to add that to the to do and continue on from there. But yes, do be careful. But also,
Yeah.
if you're like me, struggling with the 5-hour timers, there are other ways of using it. But
So
yeah, yeah.
are there ways
Mhm.
in most of the tools that you've used to assign a budget, a
Uh,
maximum? Because that was always the first thing that I do when I
yeah,
set up a new AWS account. Go into
right,
the billing, whatever, and you can
right.
say maximum per month on Lambda, spend this much. Maximum on EC2, spend this much.
Yes and no. So in Claude Code, I don't see a way of doing it. It's kind of like they handle it on their own. On the Open Router side, the answer is yes, and it's even like yes and. So yes, you can set a limit, but also the limit itself is per API key, which I find
Mm.
fantastic, especially if you plan on leaking your API keys to Open Router over and over again.
Yeah.
I was talking to Jason Hanselman on our staff about this last week during our like internal podcast thing. But basically, what we were saying is, sometimes setting up Open Router with an API key with zero budget is
Hmm.
actually the play. That's what you actually want to do,
Hmm.
especially if you're playing with vibe coding and it might leak it. Now, the
Yeah.
good thing is that very similar to Datadog, if you do leak your key to, at least in my experience, to GitHub, they'll let you know within minutes, which is
Yeah.
awesome. The other thing is, if it's being used, you can see what it's being used for, which is incredible. And on top of which, you can set an API key limit per, which is great.
Mm.
And my understanding is that the API key can't manage other API keys. That's a different type of API key, which
Mm.
is what you want. So even though it's at the zero, it's not like they could delete my account or change my password,
Right.
or what have you. But it is pretty handy. And I think the other thing you can do, which is maybe a little bit extra, is that in Open Router you can bring your own keys, as I was saying. So I could bring my
Right.
Cloud Code key in if I wanted to, and just use Open Router for everything, and just use Open Code. But also you can include that key as part of your budget. So let's say, for example, you're using OpenAI, bring your own key, and you've
Mm.
attached it to Open Router, but you're
Hmm.
using a different Open Router key to call whatever model you want. And when it
Mm.
goes to ChatGPT, hopefully it calls OpenAI and comes
Hmm.
back. You can actually assign that budget to be assigned to that bring your own key, as
Hmm.
well as the key that's in there. Anyway, not a glowing recommendation for Open Router, but I did find a couple workflows that are good for me, actually. And right now,
Okay.
I'm kind of interested in these model markets. I love markets. I think we've
Hmm.
discussed
Hmm.
markets quite a bit,
Hmm.
but I'm really interested in model markets like Hugging Face, Open
Hmm.
Router. There are a few hosts that you can go to
Right.
directly as well in order to get some of this. But I find it interesting that they're trading one, that you get to make that call. So do I
Right.
want to be training someone else's model for a lower rate, or do I want to pay full pop for these model tool
Right.
calls, or what have you, without necessarily sacrificing my security or
Right.
PII, or what have you? So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I feel like an open market allows you to make those decisions in an informed way, but at the same time, as somebody who's trying to make a really terrible fork of Code Server, I feel like this is one of those cases where you need to let your clients know, like, hey, by the way, when you're a free account, I'm
Right.
using all of this info to like sell to other people,
Right.
or whatever, because I'm using free keys from Open Router. But that it does allow limits. It does it per API key. It doesn't do it for the whole account, but also you can top up the account as well. So if I want to just put $50 in there and not have it renew, even then, if I didn't set a limit, it would still not auto renew and hit it. And I think I've got it set to 25 or something like that. So every time it renews, I'll get a message. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So like
thinking of
you could be in there hosting is basically all I'm saying. Like you could add your server farm to it or what have you.
Right. Huh. Thinking of going back to the initial thing about haircuts. My work colleague is looking very disheveled at the moment. We only get her groomed every 6 weeks, and it's been about 3 weeks. So Jade, my dog, my
exactly.
one work colleague,
your assistant,
is looking very, very rough right now.
I listen. The face part of the dogs is generally okay. What we normally get trimmed is like the butt hair. You know how sometimes they have like really like a lot of butt hair. I don't want anything stuck in the butt hair, so I'd rather it be completely.
The sanitary shave, I think it is the term for the something like that.
I did not know that term. Yeah. We're learning a lot. We did have someone else agreeing with the hygiene thing, but we also have someone saying that they're all in on Ollama Turbo, which okay, so this is kind of what I'm getting at. I was trying to bait you just a little bit, but it feels to me like the model marketplace is like the next thing. So again, I'm not sure if you remember this old tool called I think it's now called Docker Toolbox. You used to be able to bring up this menu of all these Docker images. It was pretty cool. I think it was called Kitematic. But that's what I want to see. I want to like log into something and show me all the providers with the pros and cons and what their speeds and feeds are. Let me pick from that menu, and then maybe I can pick a list. Like when you're done with this one, hop over to this one. That's what I'm here for. But when I'm looking at Ollama Turbo, I'm thinking like, when is this going to happen? Where Ollama's got like that.
Yeah,
that view.
And I don't know if that seems to go against. I tried when I was still on the Ollama team. That was something I tried to create. Have the consistent information for every single model, but also highlighting the strengths and weaknesses of different models.
Right.
And that was actively stop doing that, Matt.
Quashed.
that was definitely an argument between me and founders.
And I get it. It could be like that's not within scope. I think it'd be the easy argument, right? Ollama does have those sections, and I feel like not Ollama. My apologies. OpenRouter does have those sections, and Ollama does too. But I really like the way OpenRouter displays all the models that are popular for which period of time, like over the last 3 months, which ones are popular lately. What do they do well? What don't they do? I feel like this is like required
one that
info.
Does it really well is Misty.
Oh yeah,
and Misty does have, depending on what you want, here's the model you want to go with for that type of thing, and they do that really well.
Oh, very cool. So, yeah, they've got a model matchmaker. Very interesting. I'm looking at it now. This is very cool. So paraphrasing, reasoning, simplification. Very, very interesting.
Is it accurate? I don't know, but they've got something.
And you know what? I listen. Accuracy is important, but I think what I'm more interested in is multiple markets. So like if you've got an Ollama market, a Misty market, an OpenRouter market. Hugging Face also has like their own rankings, etc. And they'll have like code names and things like that as well. There's I think it's LM ranking we talked about before as well, which is interesting because we'll have like user reviews, and they're kind of I think it's blind, right? Not double blind, but it's blind. So they do blind tests, and as a result, you can get answers that are less biased, perhaps, in terms of the model performance. So if it's Grok, for example, I don't want to be negative on Grok, but I might be more negative on Grok without realizing it. If I know if it's Grok that I'm testing, or I think the most recent one was Nano Banana, for example, which was called Nano Banana for a while, and people didn't know what it was. And then it turns out that it is Imagen. I think we all kind of knew it was Google, but couldn't prove it. Did you play with it? Have you played around with?
No.
No?
No.
I have.
Yeah.
And I can say with some authority that the way that it edits images is in fact Photoshop. Like as a
Yeah.
as a Photoshop user since the
Yeah.
year 1998,
Right.
it's a little bit worrisome. The
Yeah.
other thing that's kind of funny is that listen, Adobe's not new to this game. They understand disruption. It has been available in Firefly, so Adobe's generative AI system. Nano Banana has been at it since inception. So since it was like Google branded, it's been in there. So if you
Yeah.
want to create images with this and you've got an Adobe account, you can actually use Firefly. I know it seems really weird, but you can go in there and generate things with Google. It will use your credits from your monthly thing.
Right.
That's a whole other Adobe thing. We don't need to step in that can of worms.
Yeah.
Or you can go on AI Studio is what I was using from Google.
Okay.
You can go through and pick it. It will actually have a big ad basically on there saying use this. Which is, listen, you got to wonder why they want you to use it. But once you click on it, you can start generating images and things like that. The thing that's really interesting about this model to me is that it's consistent. So between images, so I think there are memes. If you put something into Google like 50 times and go to generate something, you'll end up with, it'll just devolve basically into something odd. It's kind of like evolution always seems to evolve into spiders. I'm not sure if you've heard this theory before, but like many different species have evolved to spiders, which I find kind of funny. In this case, what it can do, so if it took a photo of me and put me on a different background or replaced me with something else, the consistency between the scenes is top notch.
Wow.
Top notch. Like it's not 100%, but it's really close compared to what looked like 50% before.
Yeah.
Like little things in the background would change. It's very, very consistent. So when you ask it to change one thing, it won't change the other things, which is fantastic. And as a result, the style transfer things that we're talking about before, so like Ghibliification or what have you, or like the Simpsons version of your profile picture, those things work really well as a result because they retain that consistency and they're less animated. But at the same time, they may not look as Ghibli-like or as Simpsons-like because of that. So it's like, it may not fit that bill for the style transfer, but it's actually better. Like that is what you want. You want something that more authentically matches your source material instead of changing the way you look completely.
Right.
Anyway, enough glowing recommendations, but I'm actually pretty hype on Nano Banana as an image editing platform. I think chances are it will come to Google Photos on Android. That's what I would expect. But it's going to change the game for photo editing. It's actually going to be a massive plus.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't dealt with it at all. I know it came out kind of, people got excited about it, last week? I was busy doing other things, and so I haven't had a chance.
Are you allowed to talk about what you were busy
sure.
with?
I mean, 2 weeks ago, I was in on a stream that N8N was doing about new features, and one of the things a week before, somebody on the community team said, "Oh, hey, we're gonna have this meetup in New York City. It'd be great if you could be there." I said, I was kind of like trying to get my feelers in there and saying, are they saying they're going to fly me out, or are they saying it would be great to have you come out on your own? And it seemed like it was the latter. Like, yeah, you can fly out. It would be great to see you and meet you, but we're not gonna. But that was one of the people on that team. And then I just happened to they were on the stream 2 weeks ago. They were saying, "Oh yeah, we've got this meetup coming up," and I just threw in the chat, not for any goal. I was just saying, "Oh yeah." I mean, I wasn't thinking, "Oh, here's my way of
1% for the goal." Yeah, exactly. 99%.
I was just like, "Oh, that sounds great. Glad there's a U.S. one. I mean, there was a San Francisco one before, and now this New York one. I really wish I could go, but I just can't justify the cost of getting out there." That was totally honest. I mean, I was not trying to get something.
I mean, it's a meetup. It's difficult to explain to the the budgeteer in the family that you're going to New York for a meetup.
And she was actually great. Do you think it's worth it? Just go. And I mean, do you think you'll get something? So I think I had approvals to go, but I felt kind of awkward because it's a meetup. It's 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever. I can't justify that to myself.
Right.
Um, and then a couple of days later, one of the other people at and said, "Oh, I saw your saw the comment. Add it to your next invoice to because I do sponsored videos for them
Right.
occasionally, and I invoice them, and said
Nice.
just add it to the invoice." And it's like, great. Booked my ticket and my hotel right away.
Screenshot. Yeah.
Found out where the team was staying, so staying at that same hotel, which was
Oh,
pretty
nice. That's
useful.
awesome.
And but so that was great. And then on so I arrived there on Tuesday night. On Wednesday was the meetup,
Hmm.
but Wednesday morning I got to meet up with Max on your team
Okay.
in the New York City office.
Yeah. On the training team
Um,
or the
huh?
website team?
No,
Training or website team?
evangelist. I mean, advocate team.
Gotcha. Storyteller
Um,
Max. Yep.
Storyteller Max. Yes.
Salt
Uh,
install.
and what's that?
Salt install, I think, right?
Yes, something. Yes, uh,
Yes, yes, something, yes.
yeah.
Started with
Um,
S.
but it was great. It was I got a chance to while waiting for him to come to the front desk, I had a chance to catch up with Pascal, who I haven't talked to in a long time, and and then Max took me on a tour of the all the floors, and it's like, oh my
There are a lot of
god!
floors.
I mean, I remember when Datadog had half a floor
Right,
in the New York Times building,
right.
and now it's what, 8 floors? Um,
Officially, I think it's 7. Are you
okay.
counting the roof or not counting the roof?
Well, and then took me up to the
Yeah,
roof
sorry.
deck. The
Sorry.
roof deck. Oh my God, the roof deck is incredible.
I've not been yet. I've only seen photos.
The rumor, I don't think it's substantiated,
Okay.
but the thing I've heard is it may be the largest single tenant commercial roof deck in the continental US.
Continental US.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, well, I mean, I think it's actually US in general. I don't think there's bigger ones in Alaska or Hawaii.
Hawaii? Yeah. Maybe. Maybe there's one in Hawaii. Very
But
cool.
yeah, it
I,
is a gorgeous deck.
fantastic.
It's not. I mean, like the previous deck that we had at 284 Fifth Avenue was I still remember the address. Was it's a nice wood deck. This is not that. I mean, this is definitely
It's like,
concrete pavers and
right,
but then like some astroturf and I
right.
mean it's just a really nice I got the cornhole and the all sorts of other games and the cafeteria kind of extension, though it's not set up yet, and it's just amazing. And I was up there with my glass of iced coffee because iced
Yep.
coffee on tap all the
Hmm.
time, and I hold up my glass as I'm looking at the rules for being on the roof deck.
Yeah, no food and
No
drink.
glassware. No
Yeah.
glassware. Oops. No, food
Rude.
and drink is fine, but
Okay, okay.
yeah, it is, and it would happen to
Fantastic.
be a gorgeous day, so it was just like amazing, amazing.
Oh. Yeah, the
Um,
angels were singing. the
oh
the
God,
clouds parted. Yeah.
I want to go back. Unfortunately, um, I'm a little, I don't know, a little bummed that. I mean, it totally makes sense. If you are not a Datadog employee and you go visit the roof deck, with your escort, when the escort needs to go on to do something else, like, okay, bye bye, you can leave the building now. I
Yes.
have no, I have
Yes.
no, I feel like I should have like an honorary alumni badge that allows me free reign, but no.
Yeah, no. That's not how that
Um,
works. Security
so
is pretty
yeah,
important these days,
yeah,
as I'm
no,
sure you
it's,
know. But yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Now, did you
yeah.
meet any other startups while you were there? Because there are some
I
things in the community in New York happening now that I find pretty
Yeah, no,
interesting.
I did. Well, I mean, so I did that event, or I did that meeting, or
Hmm.
just tour of the place, which oh God, and it was great. One of the great things was seeing the chair.
It's still there. I was talking to somebody about the chair the other day. Yes.
Were you
I
were
was
you
not
there?
there for the chair.
Okay,
No, I know the story, but the thing that's interesting to me is that the logo, like, it didn't work. So the chair doesn't have the
yeah,
logo, right?
Yeah. So the chair. So one time, this must be, I don't know how many years ago. It's not.
I feel like it's 10 years ago.
Yeah, probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Me, Elon, Jason, the
Jeremy.
French guy. I can't remember. Jeremy, and a couple others. We do a team building exercise in Brooklyn, making a chair. Well, actually, it was just at a place to learn welding.
Right.
And they said, well, what do you want to make? You can make a chair, you can make all these other things. And then we said, well, let's make a chair. And so we did a chair, and I feel like it was just after the it was just after the introduction of hexagons into the product.
Right.
And so we had to have the hexagons on the back and the seat of the chair. And then each of us took turns doing like the main welds on the, connecting these two pieces to the arch of the chair. And all that was amazing. I mean, and we were like black from all the soot because, at the end. And then, I think the team building activities was supposed to end at like 8 o'clock, and we were there till 9 o'clock finishing this chair. And then, we all got there in an Uber, I think, or probably a subway and then an Uber the last mile. And then it's like, okay, well, we've got this chair. It is heavy as,
it's heavy.
It's
heavy. Steel. It's a steel chair.
And it's like, how do we get it back? And I think somebody had to rent a car to go and get it.
Oh, I didn't hear that part of the story. That's amazing.
And so we got the chair. I think it got to the office after I had left on that trip to go back to Boston. So that chair is still there. It's still sitting near Jeremy's desk, and it's great.
It's amazing.
It is a great chair. It's terribly uncomfortable.
Of course, it's a steel chair. It looks like something out of like Game of Thrones or something like that. Like just not comfy. It needs a cushion. It's one of those chairs that needs a cushion.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And even then, a cushion's not good enough. But they do not. There has to be an employee who will escort you around the office. They do not give you escorts in a different sense. In answer to the question.
Yes, in answer to your question, I will be there in 3 weeks. I'm happy to escort people around the business.
Okay.
Hit me up ahead of time. There was one question prior to that, though. I think, and this is kind of what I was trying to get at earlier. So if there's many cloud inference services coming out, what's the next area of competition? Training or fine-tuning? And I feel like, and this isn't just me, but I feel like evals or testing or experimentation is going to be the next part. And this isn't maybe anything to do with LLMs, although it's handy for LLMs. It feels like evals are the next thing. So if you've got a black box, you put in things and get things coming out. Yeah,
I feel like there's been plenty of firms that do the hosting of training and fine-tuning. I think that's an already established area.
Right.
And definitely the hosting of models is I mean, whether it's and I can't think of a
albeit a
anyway, a bunch
Bedrock,
of Bedrock.
You got Google Vertex, as well as we talked about Hugging Face, OpenRouter, et cetera, et cetera.
And evaluations I've mostly seen on the SaaS product that you buy or that you license, and then it will evaluate all the tools that you use somewhere rather than hosting the evaluation and the models, which maybe, I don't know if that's useful.
Yeah. It's like
and there's a number of those tools out there.
Yeah.
But one of the ones that I didn't know about was I actually learned about at the meetup I was flown out to New York for.
Okay. Who was
it? So I go out to this meetup for N8N, and first off, I had made a video and I wanted to post it, but when I post these videos, they are 3 gigabytes in size. Usually there's one 3 gigabyte file, there's usually a 4 gigabyte file, and there's a 1 gigabyte file, and I need to upload these. And I finished the video off at the New York Public Library, and I tried to upload, and it said, okay, for that 3 gig file, okay, it's starting, and you've got 4 hours before it'll be done. Like, I'm
Oh
not sitting here
wow,
for 4 hours. No way.
that's a lot.
And so I go back to my hotel, and I do a speed test, and the speed test shows that I have like 60 megabit upload speed. I'm
That's
like,
pretty
this
good.
is spectacular.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
I should be finished pretty quick.
yeah.
And so I start the upload there, and it does the estimate. The uploader shows an estimate saying you'll be done in 5 minutes. Like, this is perfect. This is
Amazing.
awesome. And
Yeah.
about 30 seconds in, you'll be done in 40 minutes. You'll be done in 90 minutes. You'll be done in
Tar
120
and
minutes.
feathered. Yeah, yeah. They're slowing you down.
As soon as it sees I'm pushing a lot of data, it's like,
Yes. Yeah.
you're
No.
throttled. You're fast for little bits, but not for big things. And so I reached out to N8N. I said, any chance I can come by your office? And so they let me come by the office, which is spectacular. So I guess Sequoia must have been their big investor. And so they're working out of the Sequoia office,
Okay.
which, I remember when Datadog and the investors
Like a
were
seed round?
Index.
Yep.
So anytime we go to San Francisco, we'd work out of the Index office.
Gotcha.
And with Olama and Infra, we'd often work out of 8VC's office and other offices. So, that's kind of a normal thing. But this is now not just a place that they just go for an hour or an afternoon every now and then, but this is now their New York office is
That's cool.
Sequoia's office, and it is gorgeous. You go up the
Of course.
elevator, and the elevator kind of lobby is 2 stories, and you're looking straight down, I want to say Lexington.
Okay.
So boom, straight, like they're right in the middle of the avenue, and you can see, it's
Cool.
just gorgeous. And I was able to meet pretty much everyone there, the founders as well as a bunch of others. So that was amazing. And then I go to this event, and the event was at a super cool space, some loft, and just south of there. And actually, it was just south of, God, I can't remember the square name, but Astor Plaza, I think. And
Okay.
I remember I used to go there. I'm pretty sure I would go to that square, because on whatever day it was, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, that's when the Village Voice would come out. And you'd go there, pick up the newspaper, and hundreds of people would go grab the paper and start scanning the apartment listings, looking for an apartment, before the internet, not before internet, but before people
Right.
were posting ad listings to the web. And that's how I found the listing that I still remember the text to the listing: 3 Digerati seeking forth for T1 wired apartment. That was the
T1 wired. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that was
I'm in.
spectacular. I'm in. But anyway, so it was just south of there, and go up, and it was amazing. There were a bunch of people there who said, "Oh, I think I recognize you from. Do you have a YouTube channel?" And then
Oh,
I'd
that's
say
cool.
something. It says, "Oh yeah, that's totally you. I
Yeah, they
recognize
know
your
your
voice."
voice. Yeah.
And so there were a bunch of people that knew me from there, and I knew a lot of people from there too. Who
Right
I
on.
watched their channels, and they watched mine, so that was exciting. And there were a lot of people there. But one of the features they did a demo of, which I had no idea was there, was you can set up like a Google Sheet or something else that has a whole bunch of questions, and then have it send that to a number of models through the N8N interface and do the
Yes.
evaluations and the
Yes.
grading, and then come up with what is your best model for this particular set of tool calls or whatever,
Yeah.
which is pretty great. I didn't
Yeah.
know
I
about
mean,
that in there.
OpenAI has their
Yeah,
evals framework, for example. So yeah, you can definitely bring your own if you want to run your own.
yeah.
That's not. And I
But this is
feel
a
like
feature inside of N8N.
Absolutely. And I feel like N8N is one of them. The other thing that you hit on, which I'm seeing more of, and this is why I feel like it's a thing, is like generally it's kind of like the spreadsheet sniff test. Like, are
Yeah.
people building their own spreadsheets for this right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a product. Because like absolutely everybody's got like some dirty spreadsheet that's full of
Yep.
prompts, full of results. It's got like 50 tabs in it, some
Yeah.
shoddy graph. Like, yeah, this is already a thing people are doing. The question is like, how do you like rubber stamp this
Right.
spreadsheet, because it's obviously part of your workflow. So how do you get this to something a little bit better, because the evals are
Yeah.
a thing, I think,
Yeah.
and people are paying for them. The question is, what's
And
gonna
there's
happen
been a number of companies that have reached out to me wanting to sponsor videos on my channel to
That do
cover
evals?
their product, to
Yeah.
do evals. And I've found them kind of interesting, but not close enough to what I do to want to do it.
Right.
But maybe I really should.
The one that I know of, and I think it's just because perhaps I think it's called Braintrust. I think there's some former braintrust.dev. I think there's some former Datadog people who work there and similar investors. So listen, Datadog also does evals. Don't let me like recommend some other company. But I've been looking at Braintrust as kind of one of the more popular platforms for evals out there. But it's one of those things where as a numbers nerd, like I want to know, hey, is this faster? Is it cheaper? Like, it's not just about the accuracy of the response. There's a bunch of stuff in there, because I do feel like these days, I don't want to say routing again. So we were talking about OpenRouter quite a bit, but that orchestration behind the scenes of what you're doing with a call, with a prompt and a system prompt, what you're doing with that is kind of up to you as a platform operator. And if you can make this more efficient, either faster, cheaper, or better, definitely. And this seems to be the big area where you can tune those things or pick different models, or kind of balance things out. I was talking earlier about like free users versus paid users and how you can do things in OpenRouter to help with that. But having a platform that helps you prove this out prior to making those dumb decisions that I have made, it's probably better than just deciding. But when you look at these clients on this list, it's just scrolling by, like they're not the who's who, but they're people that I kind of respect. Like, these are the people that I know are out there kind of pushing the envelope a little bit in this area. So we've got like the Stripes, the Instacarts, the Vercels, Perplexity, Coursera's in here. Is Coursera still a thing? I'm sure they are.
Oh yeah,
I should know. But like Replic's in here as well.
Andrew Ng's platform.
It's Coursera entering.
Andrew Ng is one of the founders of.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, I shouldn't say anything about it.
I think it's Coursera, or is it the other one? No, it's Coursera.
Okay, I apologize. But yeah, Dia's in here, Airtable's in here. The people that, that we kind of, it's like that halo effect that we kind of think Notion, that these people are pushing the envelope, trying to do things, are on this list.
So I just asked Perplexity, what are the different AI evaluation platforms out there? And it listed out Galileo, Arise, Langsmith, Weights and Biases, TrueLens, PromptLayer, OpenAI, DeepChecks, ML Commons, Google Vertex, Hugging Face Evaluate, and SHAP.
Interesting.
And then I asked DeepSeek 3.1 671 billion parameter on Ollama Turbo. And it came up with mostly the same things, although it also listed...
Because some of those are free, right? Langsmith, I think, is open source.
Big Bench, Weights and Biases,
Weights and Biases
ML
as well.
Flow,
Also
Comet.
free.
I don't know,
Comet? Comet's like Perplexity's browser.
Comet ML. No, not that Comet. Giscard.
Also don't know.
Colina. True Era Gantry. Braintrust. So Braintrust wasn't mentioned by Perplexity, but is mentioned by...
Perplexity, the Braintrust client, didn't mention Perplexity on their platform.
Okay.
Because they were on that list, so we just saw clients.
Okay.
And I'm not saying they exclusively use them or anything, but I find that interesting. And again, like Datadog does have a product here. It's not on this list, I think, because it's early days.
It's not on... Datadog is not listed in either of these two lists.
Either of them, I think it's still early days, But evals do seem like that area. And what I know of this is MLflow, truth be told. Like, this is the only tool of all these that I know. And the stuff that I was doing with MLflow is probably similar to evals and experimentations now, but this is like... 8 years ago, 9
Yeah.
years ago. But you do need a way of running cyclical tasks and comparing the results, basically. And MLflow as more of an orchestration or like workflow engine
Hmm.
for training is actually quite handy. It's, I mean, the claim to fame is that it runs on Kubernetes. So if you're
Right.
already on Kubernetes, it makes it a little bit easier to do. But I think weights and balances are free as well, right?
With some biases,
Biases, yeah. I think.
which
Oh
are
no, no,
which
no,
is the
no. It's
name, where which is the you add up all the weights and biases in any model weights file, and you have the parameters.
right.
Yeah.
So it's from. I didn't realize they get purchased, but CoreWeave apparently
Hmm.
purchased them. But it's
Okay.
got a free version, but not for corporate use. I think is how I get
Okay.
confused. My apologies. But yeah, and Langsmith I think is in a similar boat where it's like got
Hmm.
some. It's like open source, not open source. Yeah. So you can sign up to Langsmith. And again, if we're looking through the clients in here, like some of these clients are the same as the people
Yeah.
using other stuff, like Replit's in here, for example. That's
Mm-hmm.
was on the other list as well. So it feels like this is an unsolved area where a lot of people are trying to play around with
Yeah.
stuff. Um, yeah.
You mentioned Comet as the Perplexity browser. Have you tried it?
I'm okay. So I canceled. Remember, we were talking about like how much we pay per
Yeah.
month for things. For example, I'm gonna make a joke. It might be circuitous. So hold on. We'll try to tee this
Okay.
up. So, um, I am very careful with my monthly spending, not because it's something that will get out of hand or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
but because I feel like it's an easy way to judge like how well
Yeah.
I'm using something. So I recently got rid of Bolt for Lovable. So I
Okay.
swapped.
Yep.
Lovable, funnily enough, was on both of these lists in terms of using evals.
Hmm.
Just beat it. Lovable seems to be a bit of a darling right now. But when I'm looking through these subscriptions, I'm like, yeah, do I need Paramount Plus? And in Canada, we'd have like Crave or what have you as an add-on
Mm-hmm.
to Amazon. And the reason this came up is because somebody was talking about their nut, and I'll talk about their nut in a moment. But imagine squirrels. We're talking about
Okay.
squirrels. So there's an episode of South Park, the second episode of this season, where
Oh.
they're talking about having to figure out like how much your monthly subscriptions are
Uh-huh.
and where it lands. And I was like, yeah, in fact, I'm currently trying to figure out how to watch this episode. So I ended up buying the whole season on Apple. It just as a result, there's my
Right.
convoluted joke. I apologize. But when you're thinking about that subscription, to me, it's very important. Like that's a weight. It tells you,
Yeah.
is this something key or not? And I guess the main thing is when I'm looking at these subscriptions, that the question is like, how important is this compared to like the amount that I need to pay down per month? And I don't know, like $20 seems to be a pretty easy way to land for all of
Yeah.
this. I got a little bit lost in my joke. My apologies, but like it feels like a lot of these services are like the $20 a month level. And the
Yeah.
question is like, do I want to build my own Lovable or pay Lovable, or do I want to keep paying for Cloud Code, or do I want something
Right.
unlimited, that kind of thing. And one of these tools that I've used recently that I considered paying for, Perplexity is how we started. Like I
Right.
think I'm going to actually use Perplexity more than I will Lovable, and
Yep.
Lovable is definitely great. The other one is Manus. Have you played with Manus at all?
I have not.
Manus.
I think
Okay,
you've mentioned it last time, and I still have not.
I didn't last time, but perhaps the one prior to that. And
Okay.
listen, I'm Canadian, and I'm going to bring up China here a little bit. Like we're a little bit less scared of China, but we definitely still have our reservations. Manus is from a Chinese startup that I think is now headquartered in Singapore, probably as a result of like
Sure.
fear or what have you.
Yeah.
What I ended up doing as a result is trying something called Open Manus, which I can't recommend at all.
Okay.
The open source version is pretty bad. I think you and I, if we went in there, we could probably fix up all the Docker problems that I had just onboarding. The Docker Compose is just
Yeah.
it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. It's open source. Listen, I get it, growing pains, what have you. There's another one out there called Open Hands, which I think is probably the best one to play around with. Yeah, we get some stuff in the chat already saying they love it. Manus is surprisingly good.
And there's also a Janus, right?
There is
An
a Janus.
Open Janus.
Yeah, and I think Manus is for hands, and Janus is like the Greek god of knowledge, perhaps something like that, security or secrecy, something like that. But Manus can do things like create a slide deck. Now,
Okay.
as someone who creates slide decks as a job, I was like, yeah, come at me, bro. Like how well could you do this? And I gave it a pretty complex question about Datadog, because I know this is going to be indexed, and it's going to, of course, it's going to go public. So I just standard stuff like, what could Datadog do in the
Right.
LLM observability world? Like, where should it be looking? What's
Right.
important, et cetera, et cetera. Let's make a quick slide deck,
Right.
8 to 10 slides, just a quick overview of like
Hmm.
how we could maybe monitor LLMs in Azure and
Right.
what's coming next. It did a remarkable job, and
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted to hate it. The design is terrible.
Yeah.
Let's just, we'll throw that out of the way. But you pick a template, and you get to go through and do a design, and it actually did a really good job. And what I think it excelled at is actually just doing web research. That's like legit. All
Okay.
it did is like a bunch of do a web research, and then based on the results, do another one. Having watched what it did, but
Right.
it does it so well and so
Hmm.
quickly that it's just it's kind of
See,
next level. Yep.
I've seen a number of these like slide deck
They're
creators.
terrible.
They're terrible. I
It's
mean,
Canva's terrible. Notion says it can kind of do it. There's a few others that are
and there's
purposeful.
like
They're all
they'll try to
awful.
create a slide with more than, I mean, it's bad enough to, I mean, more than 10 words on a slide. I mean, it should be
Oh,
more
oh,
less
oh,
than 5
oh no.
words, but
Oh man.
these
I,
are worthless presentations.
I will send you these slides, but yes, the design was terrible. The talking points, though. So if you took everything in the slide and shoved it into a notes
Okay,
section
yeah.
and kept like the first sentence,
Yeah.
you'd be golden, basically. But this is
Yeah.
kind of the same as like me coaching anyone
Yeah.
else out there
Yeah.
writing slides. What I was impressed with was the research. Like
Mhm.
you actually
Yeah.
researched, like
Yeah.
not like a drunk intern, but you
Yeah.
actually, like if I gave this to a Matt, he would
Yeah.
come back with proper research, and
Yeah.
that's what it was. There were no blind spots, for
Yep.
example. There weren't things that were missing. There wasn't any historical data in there. With a company like Datadog or any of the other monitoring providers,
Right.
you're going to find stuff that's like pretty old, and then they'll include it as new. But since we're kind of at the end of the hour, like I actually feel like Manus is my recommendation.
Okay.
And I say this with some trepidation. Like, assume everything you type in there is going to be public at some point,
Yeah. Yeah.
similar to like a Grok or an OpenAI. I wouldn't necessarily recommend paying for it, but
Yeah.
what I do think is really interesting is, one, there's a bit of workflow stuff in there. So similar to N8N, like at the very end,
Mhm.
take all of your research, organize it into 8 points, make
Mhm.
some slides in this template. Like that's pretty cool for sure.
Okay.
The beginning portion of like just handling my prompt or like adding some sugar to make it better is actually pretty good. The
Mhm.
middle workflow slash agentic portion is
Mhm.
actually pretty impressive,
Hmm.
both in the way that it will spider out and create multiple tasks at once and then bring them back in, but also
Yep.
in terms of accuracy. Like, the amount of times that I see hallucinations in a
Yeah.
simple web research is pretty high. This
Yeah.
is why I like Perplexity, in fact, and
Right.
maybe why I'll end up paying Perplexity and not
Yeah.
Manus. But I feel like being able to do that, cite your sources, give
Right.
links to your sources, not hallucinate,
Yeah.
and then actually organize the ideas in a sequential manner. I was blown away. Like,
Yeah.
this is second to none, actually.
Yeah.
And I went in there just wanting to hate this so much. I was a little
Mhm.
bit bored while something else was
Yeah.
running, and I was like, people keep talking about this.
Yeah.
Before trying to find another like Open Hands, before I try that out, maybe I should try
Yeah.
the real one first, so
Yeah.
I can compare them, because I really wasn't impressed with Open Manus.
Yeah.
Again, love you guys. I know it's open
Yeah.
source, it's a labor of love, but like really, it just doesn't hold a candle to
Yeah.
Manus. And now I want to see what else is out there like this, because I feel like Crew had some promises. Crew AI, I'm not sure if you
Mhm.
remember,
Oh yeah.
very similar to kind of what Manus does in the
Mhm.
back end from what I'm seeing. But I don't think I could just go and take that Manus experience and
Mhm.
recreate in Crew AI. I want to try, obviously, now
Yeah.
I've done it, but it feels like there's some secret sauce in there about like it's like, I feel like it all comes down to context, but the way the context is shifted between those
Yeah.
tasks and the agent, it doesn't lose any context,
Yeah.
which is amazing to me. Anyway,
Yeah.
I hate to glow about something that I've
Yeah.
only used a couple times, but the
Yeah.
research was quite good. The slides are pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I try anything for code or things like that. It didn't look that great,
Mhm.
but at least web research, and surprisingly, the slides that resulted from it were pretty impressive.
Hmm.
Yeah, Echo says you had to get it done to finish the project that Perplexity started. I will say I use Perplexity a lot for web research. I do
Mhm.
not use it a lot for coding. And
No.
it's not that it's bad at it. It's just that I reach for other tools when
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I will, before if there's a video I'm going to create, I have a little N8N workflow where I just can submit. How do I get to it? I just have it's a webhook, which on my
Right.
phone I trigger
Yeah,
from
yeah.
shortcuts, and I have a shortcut that says, I don't know, streaming video to a friend, and post that, and then Perplexity takes that and does the deep research and generates this massive file, and then saves that to Obsidian, and so that's where I'm writing my script anyway. So I just have it output there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think what you're touching on is something kind of interesting as well. So we talked about webhooks a little bit before with N8N.
mhm.
N8N is not the only one
Oh yeah,
resurfacing webhooks because I feel like some of these docs again are older.
oh yeah.
So the agents are trying to hit hooks that don't exist or assume that they
Hmm.
can use hooks, but it's actually a pretty easy way to set up something. I think it's like a jot and a hook basically will allow you to do something like an auth
Yep.
token essentially. On the other hand, RSS feeds are also becoming popular again because MCP servers and AI agents
Oh
can
yeah.
read RSS really
Oh, okay. Yeah.
easily. Just like, what is happening? Like the web of like early 2000s is
Wait,
coming
now
back.
see, I have a problem with
RSS.
what you said
I
there.
know.
I have a
So do
problem.
I.
No, I have a problem with what you said in that they're becoming more useful again, or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Like,
fair, fair. They were
when did
always
they
useful.
ever stop being useful?
Listen, Matt. I don't know how many vibe coding apps that you've created, but the one that I try to create a lot is this little app from Google called Reader.
I
I feel
use
like RSS
InnoReader,
died
and it's great.
when Reader left. I feel like that's when
Yeah,
RSS died. Unfortunately, everybody got so angry
yeah,
because they were like, "I got all my news right here." And
yeah,
I've used a few of the others, of course. I've talked about this until I'm blue in the face on
yeah,
this show. But yes, it
yeah.
feels to me like RSS unfortunately became less useful when Reader went away. But I know that's not the case.
I use it every day.
Yeah, someone said that's the only way they can get N8N to work. Fair. Fair. It's just because it's like it's already
Yeah,
scraped for
it's
you.
great.
So if you're
Yeah,
using an agent, you can just grab the feed. It's XML. It's
yep,
fantastic. A
yep,
lot of these models understand XML really well. Listen, I hate XML, but if I can feed it to an app that can do it,
yep.
I'm here for it.
Great.
Sorry, I'm cutting into your time. Did you have any
I
recommendations?
well, so
Did,
I
did,
did
did
not.
you
I have
did you buy
not.
a boat?
I have not. Did you? No, I'm
Well,
not
you bought a
buying.
kayak, so I'm like,
I'm not buying any more. In fact, I have not. No, I have not bought
you had
anything.
to look around.
Make sure I haven't bought anything. No, I mean, because so I went to New York City, and when I came back, our piano got delivered,
Oh,
and
nice.
I am. I mean, uh, it's been so much fun getting back into that. Um, and one one $14,000 purchase, and I'm done. I don't need to buy anything else for at least a few more weeks. Um, so I mean, it's just been fun playing the piano again. And this thing is so. I mean, it's a piano, sure, but because of the trans acoustic part of it as well. Did I?
Right. You
Yeah,
did. Yeah.
it is, and it's so easy. So I mean, it's super easy to just hook it up to an iPad, and then now this piano is controlling Animoog or any the Moog synthesizers on the
Right.
iPad or other. There's decent sampler where you can pull sampled instruments from a site called Piano Note, and so there's
We
all
gotta we
sorts
gotta
of
hold on just for the chat. Like when Matt says Moog, he means Moog.
Moog.
Yeah, I know it's Moog. I totally get it. I
Yeah, I
get
mean
it.
no, it's what the
I
Ents
know.
call it, right?
I know. And it's literally Moog. Yes, but
Yeah.
no one knows that. Yes.
Oh. But yeah, it's I mean, being able to it is so much fun, and but then also just playing it. I mean, being able to play the piano is great, but
Hmm.
sometimes my daughter is on the TV like right next to me,
Right.
and she doesn't want to hear the piano, me plonking around the wrong notes over and over again while I try to learn a piece. And so it's amazing being able to just switch it to silent and then turn on the digital part, and it's the same action on the keyboard.
So
It's
cool.
just all digital all through the headphones, and it is spectacular.
Now, are there any like training tools? We talked about sheet music a
Yep,
little bit, and I guess in my brain, if Duolingo's changing the way that they
yep.
work or they do education, I would assume this would apply to learning piano,
There
guitar,
are
what have you.
definitely a number of piano learning apps or piano training, whatever. And
Right.
some of them will work based on it hearing, the microphone on the iPad hearing where
Oh,
you
that's
are,
pretty
and
good.
therefore detect what it is that you're playing. And some will do it through MIDI, and I can do both with this piano.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But all the reviews are basically every single one of them sucks so much they are not
Ah,
worth doing.
Fair enough.
I have not seen. I mean, I've seen a few reviews that are positive, and then for every positive review, there are at least a dozen reviews that are like, "This is the worst garbage ever." And so I've got a book that I'm kind of going through, and but also remembering what I remembered from, learning piano as a child.
Right.
And then I'm gonna just go up the street and get piano lessons at the Island Music Guild, which is half mile away from me.
Yeah, it feels like that. That's kind of what I was expecting you to say. It feels like
Yeah.
a real human in the loop is what you need here.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Somebody else in the chat is telling us that we get a jam next video.
No.
So I'm not sure if they know that I can play the trombone, but like now they do.
Yeah. No. My piano playing skills are so bad. I mean, it's right up there with, my French horn and my flute, both of which I played when I
And
was
your
in
Python
high
skills.
school.
Yeah.
But
Python, flute.
Python, yeah.
It's the same as me for JavaScript. This is why I'm using LLMs, because I still don't understand JavaScript. Even just building JavaScript, which I thought I understood, I do not understand.
Oh.
I get stuck with SWC the other day. I'm not sure if you've gone down this path before.
No.
SWC is like an internal build tool that something else uses. And I messed it up somehow trying to move to ARM, and it cost me a whole day. It was pretty funny.
Wow.
I think we caught the rest. We were talking about trading a little bit in the chat and how RSS can help with news. Yes, I've also worked for trading platforms. I understand that going through gobs of data every day, even just for KYC, is a total pain.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Somebody saying that they love the shows. Like, man, I don't know. I don't know if they're watching the same show. Perplexica with GPT OSS 20B. I've not used Perplexica before.
But you haven't? Okay, so that's a really neat tool as well.
It's a marketplace, though, right?
No, Perplexica will use SearchNG as well as Ollama to replicate Perplexity. Tries to replicate Perplexity. It's does a pretty good job. It's nowhere near as powerful as Perplexity, but it's for the most part, it is almost as good. It is really impressive.
Now hold up. When I hit this page, there's an ad for Warp Terminal at the top of the README. Has Warp jumped the shark? It feels like it's jumped the shark. Anyway, maybe food for thought for the next one. But I think Warp is now an agentic vibe coding platform as opposed to a terminal. So I'll have to try it out, because I have not since it first launched.
Yeah.
And I do like terminals, so don't get me wrong. But yeah, I'll try Perplexity for sure. Yeah. It's MIT license. Everything, this all checks out. This is well within the realm of things that I should be trying.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brian, for that. Very cool. All right. I guess that's it. We will we'll say goodbye.
Yes. Sorry, I was reading one comment.
I did notice the comment. Thank you very much for all the comments, folks, and watching. I appreciate it.
Yep. Finish. Press the finish button and broadcast.